Welcome back, viewers, to another thrilling episode of Sports Central. As always, I'm your wonderful host, Andrew Mackey, the sports editor of The Standard, which comes out today, so you should go by and pick it up and read all the fantastic articles in this week's edition. One of those articles happens to be about the Tecumseh-Boonville basketball game. The two Warwick County rivals opened off the season, tipped off their first game of the season for both teams on Saturday night at Boonville. In a back-and-forth contest, the Boonville Pioneers pulled out a 57-54 win. It was a pretty exciting contest. Boonville was up 12 in the third quarter at one point. Tecumseh rallied back to take a lead in the fourth, but Boonville pulled it out in the end. And as I said, you can read all about that in this week's edition of The Standard. And some other Warwick County basketball action. Last night, Boonville traveled to Castle to face their other Warwick County rival. This game was not as close. The Castle Knights defeated Boonville 74-38. It was really never close. Castle just outclassed Boonville. From the opening tip. In the first quarter alone, Blake Simmons for Castle had 11 points, Kyle Ayton had 8 points. They were up 23-10 at the end of the first quarter. I believe at one point it was 20-4 in that quarter. Castle kept pouring it on in the second quarter. We're up 47-20 at halftime. And then with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter, Castle coach Brian Gibson called a timeout, pulled his starters. They didn't play again the rest of the game. Simmons finished with 23 points. Castle junior guard Cayman Meyer dropped 14 and Aton finished with 12. It was a very impressive performance by the Knights. Not a lot of size this year, a lot of guard play, but they play a high pressure, high intensity game. I think they forced Boonville into 21 turnovers. Just thoroughly dominant game for Castle. That was their first game of the year, so they improved to 1-0. So it's a good start for the Knights. There was one bright spot for Boonville, freshman Ryan Nance, who's obviously a first-year varsity player, being a freshman. He scored a team-high 14 points, grabbed 9 rebounds, was by far the Pioneers' most effective player, which is a good sign. And just 2 games into his varsity career, he's already making an impact. So that's good for Boonville going forward. And also, there's the Warwick County action continues tomorrow, Thursday night. The Castle Lady Knights, who are undefeated 4-0, travel to Boonville to face the 1-3 Pioneers. It's going to be a tough game for Boonville. Castle's ranked 10th, I believe, in 4A now. They're a very impressive team, but Boonville's got some talent also, so it should be a good matchup tomorrow night at Boonville Stadium. Some other games coming up this weekend. Also on Thursday, the Tecumseh Lady Braves face off with Heritage Hills at home. That game tips at 7:30. On Friday, the Memorial Tigers travel to Boonville for a boys basketball game at 7:30 as well. And Castle opens up their Southern Indiana Athletic Conference play. They travel to the north side of Evansville to face the North Huskies at 7:30. Both those teams are 1-0, and both have aspirations to win the conference this year. So that Castle North game is going to be a pretty big matchup on Friday. And the Tecumseh Braves, coming off that loss to Boonville on Saturday, try for their first win of the year against Wood Memorial. As always, a big rival for Tecumseh. That game is at Tecumseh. It's that 7:30 Saturday night. And in some other sports action this weekend, the Castle Invitational Wrestling Meet is on Saturday. All 3 Warwick County teams perform in that tournament. Castle, Boonville, Tecumseh, obviously. And it's a pretty good wrestling tournament. There's usually some pretty strong teams. Union County from Kentucky, wins the state tournament in Kentucky pretty frequently. Indian Creek's good, North, Gibson Southern, and then obviously Castle and Boonville. And Tecumseh are all pretty solid this year, so it should be a good day of wrestling. It begins at 9 a.m. and lasts pretty much all day. And that wraps up this edition of Sports Central. As always, I'm greatly appreciative that you guys watch every week, and I hope you guys keep doing it next Wednesday afternoon. Thanks a lot.